first thought about being a musician or music hit me was when I saw the Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show. And then my older brother Steve, he really got into it, and he got a guitar for Christmas, and he was, playing pretty regularly. And then when I was 10, I would always see the guitar, and when I was 10, I started, banging around on his guitar, and he had the music to Rain and Paperback Writer, and it had the chord diagrams, and so I figured out how to play G, C, and D. But it really made sense when I had this friend Bobby C, who's Joe Cardoza's dad, and I said to him, "Hey, listen, I've been playing the harp a lot. Want to get together sometime?" He goes, "Yeah, sure, come over sometime." So I went over his house one day, and I had a C harp, and he started playing some chords, and I started playing the harp, and then it all clicked and made sense, right? I was able to make music out of it. It made total sense to me. So I get immersed in the blues, and then I pick up the electrified harp, right? Paul Butterfield, Little Walter, James Cotton. I'm just obsessed with the harp and the blues. While that's going on, I got a Yamaha acoustic guitar that I'm beating up on, and I'm starting to formulate my first kind of songs. But I always listened to Bob Dylan and the Byrds, and not really telling my friends about it because they weren't as cool to them at that point. So I listened to the Dylan, the Byrds, the Beatles, Stones, and then things like 10 years after. The Yardbirds, Jeff Beck, and I was really into Bruce, right? Petty comes in around 78, and I think I heard American Girl. I was like, man, who is that? And my friend goes, "Oh yeah, that's Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers," and they were just starting to hit, and they'd played Paul's Mall not too in '77 or something. People were starting to know about him, and John Lennon, my favorite Beatle, I was very influenced by him, and what I liked about him, well, everything, but especially, I liked that dark side that he had sometimes. It was a little bit too much sometimes, but you know that I'm a wicked man, and I was born with a jealous mind. Better hide your head, little girl, if I catch you with another guy. That kind of very dark, kind of menacing lyrics. Nothing town, the velvet touch is renowned. I became her prey. She plays games, she doesn't think they're unkind. So only with your mind you wouldn't want to play. And I don't know why I have to scream, try to tell her what I mean, but she isn't listening to me. But she isn't listening to me. All the boys, they whisper when she walks by. She hears the hungry sigh, but tends not to realize. She holds my arm with a heart that's drifting away. You never have the right things to say. You see it in her eyes, and I don't know why I have to scream, just try to tell her what I need, but she isn't listening to me, but she isn't listening to me. So walk away, pretty raven head girl. In the dark, I held her and I found a tear. You're close, but you never near. I became her prey. She plays games. She doesn't think they're unkind. You're only with your mind. You wouldn't want to play. And I don't know why I have to scream, just try to tell her what I need, but she isn't listening to me. She isn't listening to me. She's not listening to me, but she isn't listening to me. So walk away, pretty raven head girl, pretty raven head girl. Walk away, raven head girl. Walk away, raven head girl. Walk away, raven head girl. And I'm realizing once you go into the club and you have drums and stuff, there's a certain expectation. People are kind of like, okay, well, now you're a band. You know, what are you going to do? But as I'm looking back, I'm like, man, that was quite a creative process. I'm writing the song, I'm going to them. They have to be creative to learn the parts, and they bring their own kind of individuality to it. And if there's something I don't like, I would tell them. Looking back, I didn't have as much appreciation for the whole collaborative, creative process as maybe I do now. Like, I had this song, Heart Don't Feel Too Safe, that did pretty well on the radio in Boston. And when I brought it into the band, it was in E minor. I can face an empty room, don't always need a tender touch. When I brought it into the band, it was too low to sing. I had to transpose it. I had to bring it up a key. So I had to say, oh man, this is now going to be out of F sharp, and everyone has to kind of go there, and it becomes. I can face an empty room, don't always need a tender touch. So it changes there sometimes. Maybe it's the amplification or the extra energy or singing through a mic. All of a sudden you realize, okay, I got to bring this up a key. Sometimes some of the guys in the band might say, I think you need another part for this. You know, you need like a bridge or something. Or like one time the kid said, you know, you should just take, this is a great pop song. You don't need this bridge. Just take out the bridge. And yeah, I think he was right. I just became intrigued by the word hobo. And then I started reading some articles about it, and those guys, you know, like Woody Guthrie riding the rails, and with the guys, I think they called them Union Bulls. With the clubs, they would beat you pretty severely if they caught you, right? But that whole lifestyle, used to closing your back and going from town to town, and, you know, I became intrigued by maybe hobo sounds somewhat glamorous. I don't know, but there's actually a whole vocabulary for hobos. They would like have signals of what houses were good to maybe approach if you wanted to try to get a meal, or what police in town were particularly, violent or ones to avoid. So I mean, now I guess it's homelessness, right? Hobos were homeless people, But the way I just started to think about, what about are there any hobos left? That's where it started. That's what got my mind going on it. So then I decided to make this character a hobo in current society, right? So. There ain't any more union bulls coming at us with their clubs in some filthy switching yard. These days most of us are running solo. Tell me, where's the glamour in that when you're a 21st century hobo? My age, maybe I'm 51, but I could be 44. I haven't thought about it for a while. There's no reason for me to know. Tell me, where's the glamour in that when you're a 21st century hobo? Boxcar replaced by this empty draft room with nothing but a small little bed. I got a social worker on my case. She reaches me by her cell phone. Tell me, where's the glamour in that when you're a 21st century hobo? Tell me, where's the glamour in that when you're a 21st century hobo? So the process for songs for me, sometimes I'll get an idea in my head, a word, a phrase. Sometimes I'll just sit down with the guitar and something will come. And this is how this song kind of came about. I just kind of started doing this. And I just kind of liked that progression. So I had that kind of progression going. And then in the back of my mind, years ago I had a conversation with this guy from Gloucester. And he went to Harvard. And but he left after a year. And I said, man, you get into Harvard, and if you get into Harvard, they'll try to keep you there with tutoring and stuff. They don't want people to drop out, I don't think. But he said, I just never felt comfortable there. There's all these kids from these rich private schools, and I was this kid from Gloucester. And that just stuck with me, kid from Gloucester. Right? So that's how this song kind of came about. Messing around with that progression. and then that phrase. I'm just a kid from Gloucester. I work on a boat, that's how we do. I got respect, I got opinions. You make assumptions, I'm gonna show you. One day some shrink tried to study me. She was taking a survey for the government. I looked in her eyes and her face turned red. I said, I caught you. My daddy told me, to get the big one, you gotta get the right wind and make it run. Don't go too far, you might not make it back. Don't stay too close, cause you won't get paid. That's the name of that one. One day some drink tried to study me. She was taking a survey for the government. She looked in my eyes and her face turned red. I said, I caught you. One day some drink tried to study me. She was taking a survey for the government. She looked in my eyes and her face turned red. I said, I caught you. At night on a boat, I read Hemingway. He keeps it simple, that's what I like. It is deceptively deep, like the ocean below, with layers of metaphor that tangle the soul. One day some shrink tried to study me. She was taking a survey for the government. She looked in my eyes and her face turned red. I said, I caught you. That's right, baby. Ba ba ba, ba ba ba. Ba ba ba, ba ba ba, ba ba ba. I'm just a kid from Gloucester. I'm just a kid from Gloucester. I'm just a kid from Gloucester. I'm just a kid from. When I'm on stage playing at a club, or even a bigger venue, I'm trying to find that person in the audience who seems to know what I'm doing, or who seems to kind of be, getting into it or whatever. I'm trying to win everybody over, At the same time, I'm trying to listen to everything that the band is doing, but I'm trying to look at that person that's gonna who can I get on my side, and then if I get a couple of people on my side that I know kind of I'm home free and. So I try to talk more to the crowd. I try to, try to connect. I'm very aware of the crowd, and it's you're always at battle as a musician to win the crowd, get them on your side. Some people are gifted at it. We've been pretty lucky with it. We're pretty good with the crowd, but it's something that I know I have to work on as a front man of filling those gaps with conversation sometimes, talking to the crowd more. So I'm trying to get better at that. But yeah, always very aware of the crowd. I mean, that's the whole ball game right there, live. That's it. So we were talking about the difference between acoustic and electric in the songwriting process, right? And so this next song, and in my evolution as a songwriter, I mean, I was writing these songs for the band, the Catalinas, and my first solo record still had some of those Catalina songs, and I was trying to write, basic kind of power pop songs with strong hooks. And then on my next solo record, I wanted to be more lyrical and tell more stories. And the title of that record is River Boys, and this song is kind of indicative of it. The cover title song, and it's about a group of guys that grew up, I grew up in Danvers, and I was 18 and 19 years old. The drinking age was 18 when I was 18 years old, and we were sometimes find ourselves in this hometown bar, and there was this grizzled old bunch of guys. I don't think they were married. They didn't seem to have jobs. And looking back now, there might have been some kind of mental illness. But a guy I went to high school with used to hang out with these guys. And so I thought it was kind of interesting because he was kind of having some problems with alcohol. And so originally the title of the song was Drinking with the Big Boys. And then it evolved to Hanging with the Big Boys. And then I changed it to Big Boys to River Boys. And then I created this other character that I envisioned of a guy who kind of thinks he's this kind of minister guy that hangs out with these guys. And so it's called, in the hook, he's preaching to the River Boys. And this is a song I use this shaky Jimmy effect on it. There's only one alley in that town. They found it alright, crossing the broken down lounge, out behind the pizza joint. Baldy's 59 years old. He cries at the drop of a hat. I might get that crazy look in his eye. He's crazier than a shithouse rat. And Ringo, he's the nasty one. You better stay clear of him. And Deacon is the voice of wisdom. He quotes Blake, Ginsberg, and Whitman. It's Tuesday morning. The sky is so clear. That long, dirty road, it brought you here. Yeah, preaching to the river boys. They grew up down by the river. They cut the dry land into two lonely pieces. No matter where you stand. And they called them the River Boys. And they always kept to themselves. There was a way of life down there, and nothing they could buy or sell. They used to get a kick out of him, and they called him Kid, until they figured out he fit right in. And it's Tuesday morning. The sky is so clear. That long dirty road, that brought you here. Yeah, preaching to the river boys. Today they are gathered, a ragtag gonzo choir, sweet voices out of tune, reaching higher and higher. And he leads them in a prayer, but they don't hear no sound. But today he gives a sermon. It's his own Sermon on the Mount. Yeah, 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 yeah. It's Tuesday morning. The sky is so clear. That long, dirty road that brought you here. Yeah, yeah, preaching to the river boys. Yeah, preaching to the river boys. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Preaching to the river boys. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Preaching to the river boys.